Hey, what up, y'all? This is Tim K, officially breaking my cherry and doing my first video under my new channel's name is going to be Grateful Vintage Collector. Kind of just had a blast at the Strongsville show and figured it was finally time to break my cherry after hanging out with all you guys and yeah, just want to put my face out there, start my channel up. You know, it's been years in the making. I've been watching all you guys' great content for years. Feel like I already know you, and yeah, so I just wanted to share my Strongsville experience and pick up as everyone else is this week. Probably a bad time for me to be putting my first video out there. That's cool. Hey, I just gotta get out there and do it. You know, get on the bus, as us deadheads say. So anyway, yeah, went to the show with a couple of friends. Joe is his channel is Pre-War Dreams, and we met up with Jeff from California. Jeff, his channel is A Fine Collector, and then Jay from Buffalo. I think Jay's from Buffalo. Sorry, Jay, if it's not quite Buffalo. Jay Average Collector or something. Sorry, I totally destroyed your name, Joe, or Jay. Anyway, hey, first time video jitters, I guess. I just got to get in the groove and realize I'm just talking into a computer screen. So, yeah, we got to the show Friday morning and walked around, had a great time. I didn't actually make my first pickup till I don't know, shoot, mid afternoon. Took me a while to get the crowbar to open my wallet up, but I was with Joe, my buddy, for my first pickup. Ran across this. We did a lot of this show together. He was looking at a lot of vintage football himself, and always wanted this card. Just found a nice copy of it and popped on it. Felt like I got a pretty, not a great deal, but I didn't pay up for it. Reasonable comp deal or value deal. So that was cool. Then shortly after, once the money was flowing, dealer right around the corner from where I got that Jimmy Brown card. Found this. This was my second pickup. Sorry about the glare, guys. My house has a lot of windows and new to this. I'll figure out the lighting and all that stuff. Anyway, just always love this card. I love the eagle around the banner on this 59 All-Star card. I like the red banner better for some reason on these years. Always wanted this Willie Mays card. Found a pretty nice example of it. Again, didn't got a I paid what I was willing to pay for it. It wasn't a smoking deal. I didn't pay up. It was, me and the dealer came to, something that we could both agree on. And as everyone always says, that's a good deal for everyone. When both parties are happy. So we were about to leave the show, and I tapped my buddy Joe on the shoulder. We're figuring out dinner plans and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I can't leave yet. I got to go do something. Ironically, it was one of the very first vendors that I saw had two of my bigger gold cards. Well, the biggest gold card on my list and another one. And, walked the whole room, and there were other copies of it, but I kind of figured, hey, there was nothing that wowed me, so I kind of figured I'm going to go back to this guy before we leave tonight, because I'm not going to get over this if I don't make this purchase. And I'm going to kick myself if they're not there in the morning when I get back. So we walked over there before leaving dinner. Figured, hey, if I can try and bundle these two bigger cards together, why not? I saw other ones in the room, but again, they didn't stand out to me in any different reason. He had two of my bigger cards, so this was the first one. I've always loved this card. 54 Tops is hands down one of my favorite sets. The smile that Willie has, the inaction. You get the best of both worlds, as we all know in this set. The portrait, the action, the color's beautiful on it. The centering, I'm it's decent. It could have been better, but again, 4 was kind of like the top of my range. So 3-5, cool, right in my wheelhouse. Yeah, love this card. We all know that this was his MVP year, his first MVP. So this card has always been on my list. One of my favorite cards of his that's still affordable to me. I would love the 52 tops or his 51 Bowman, even his 53. Those cards are just out of my wheelhouse nowadays. So that was my old, Willie. That'll be my old Willie card example for a long time in my collection. Now here is the piece to de la resistance. Yeah, sorry, my old French teacher. That's why I failed the class. Um, this was it. So I've always wanted a Babe Ruth. The Gaudies, all playing days, other playing days cards are just out of my wheelhouse. What I can afford or what I'm willing to spend on a card at this point. So yeah, I decided a while back that what I'm gonna go for, and I need to pick up the poor man's playing day Babe Ruth. Love this card, love this image, always have. It wasn't FOMO, but I felt like, hey, if I don't get this card this year at Strongsville, it's probably just going to continue to go up, and very soon might creep out of my budget or my wheelhouse where I feel comfortable paying for a card. So very cool card, great image. As you can see, centering's pretty tight on it. Wasn't a huge deal to me, but it was another nice added bonus. It is the Type 1, with the Cinella logo right here and not down here at the bottom. Not really sure how you decipher the Type 2s and Type 3s. I've done research, but again, this was just the copy I liked. He had 3 of them in his case. No, actually 4 of them in his case. So there's were I think I saw maybe 3 or 4 or 5 others in the room. He had half of the examples that were in the room. Anyway, I am an SGC guy, but kind of a bummer about this. I don't care about the old label, or the old flip. What I do care about is this card was graded a very long time ago. I looked the cert number up, or went on the app, and it was graded back in '03, and they have the flip is labeled as a 33 Cinella. Well, we all know it's 32. Maybe back in those days, it was thought that it was a 33. So that's one little thing that I can't get over, and it's also labeled a Type 2 on there. Again, not a big deal, but I do have a Type 1. I'd like for it to have the right year on the label, on the flips label, and that it is a Type 1. So unfortunately, at some point, I'm going to probably have to send it back into them. Really bummed that they're not at the SGC show, or the SGC doesn't do shows anymore, because I would have turned around and, resubmitted it for a reslab right there, like I did with a lot of cards last year. Yeah, I got a ton of stuff, submitted a ton of stuff last year, just saved on the shipping and the potential of it getting lost one way. I wish they'd come back to shows, unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. And if I want to get it reslabbed, I probably need to do it sooner than later, before they shut the door on their little janitor's closet they got over there, and, they're poof gone from existence. Because I would like it in an SGC slab. I prefer the tux, as a lot of us vintage guys do. So yeah, after that, like I said, I couldn't have slept if I would have walked out of the show without doing that deal right before we went to dinner. Went to dinner, it was great. About 10 to 12 other YouTubers, some guys I had met before, some others I hadn't. Had a nice dinner. Then we headed over to the meet and greet, which was awesome. Thank you, Chris from Missouri, for always doing that. Always a blast every year. Just seeing everyone, saying hey. A lot of guys that we had met last year, cool. That was fun. I'd have to say the highlight of my night was when Petty came up and grabbed me, and yes, I was part of one of the parking lot moonshine boys, let's say, having a blast out there. I'm a deadhead, as you can see in the back here, and my channel, I'm going to call it Grateful Vintage Cards after the Grateful Dead. Yeah, that just the whole walking out to a Mustang in the parking lot and drinking moonshine out, trunk popped up, drinking shine out of the back of Keith's Stang, it was just good times. It reminded me of, being at a Dead show in the parking lot, having some fun before the main attraction started. So I'll never forget that, man. That was a blast. So that was definitely the highlight of my the YouTube get together. Then Saturday, woke up, not hungover, sweet. Yeah, I don't know how, because it's been a while since I drank that much sign and that potent stuff. I mean, it was a real deal. Stuff was good. Anyway, woke up, me and Joe, we were staying at the Ramada. We got over to the show about by 9:30, right after it opened. And walked around. I hadn't been at all over to the modern side. Kind of meandered through there, didn't buy a whole lot, a couple raw things. Shit, I think I spent $20 second day of the show. I popped a majority of my load on that last deal of the day, and I wanted to save some money for trade night that the four collectors were putting on, which was awesome, because last year I don't know. Last year I didn't have a room for Saturday night. I was just like, oh, I'll go to trade night, then I'll go home. Well, man, last year about 4 o'clock, I was walking around with Joe, and I was like, man, I think I'm done. I think I'm going home. And he did the same. He lives up in Michigan. I'm in Ohio. So it's not a bad drive for us. I was just exhausted. If I had a room, I would have gone back and taken a nap. So this year I was like, hey, I'm staying for trade night, because I feel like we missed out by leaving. Heard about all the great deals, and just, again, the more camaraderie in that room the second night. So yeah, this year there was no way I was missing trade night, and I was very glad we did it. So that started about 6:30, as everyone knows. My first deal was with Dan of Dan's Vintage PC. I saw him on the floor of the show on Friday and showed him this piece that I had found at my local Xenia show, which is a great show. I always see Rob and Dave, Rob Cash Cards and Dave Peacemaker. There's pretty good local show for us guys, Southern Ohio guys. So anyway, I showed Dan this piece that I saw that I got there. And he fell in love with it. He was just like, hey, come find me. We'll work something out. So found him. He didn't have any cash left. So what we ended up doing was, out of his case, I picked that up from him, kind of staying on my Willie Mays theme of the year. So yeah. He also. What else did I get from him? Just a 68 Tony Gwynn, kind of a beater. I didn't have that card. Doesn't matter that it's beater. Anyway, yeah, and he kicked in. He didn't have any cash, but my piece was a little worth more than his end of what I liked at his table. And he did say, hey, do you have Venmo? So he ended up Venmoing me $50, make the deal a little better for both of us. So then right around, which was cool, he didn't have to do that. But yeah, so it sweetened the deal a little for me, which was right on, man. Very cool. Thanks, Dan. And then right around the corner from him at trade night was Jeremy, the Texas Snowman. So I went over his table and started chatting with him, and he had stacks of cards there, and went through his stuff. And I'd been talking with my buddy Joe about this card, and like I'd like to have in my collection someday, and ran across this in his stack. It's a beautiful one. I like, we all like nice eye appeal, ones. It's a one because there's paper loss on the back there and there. Sorry about the glares again. I'll figure this out as I do more videos. But yeah, just second year's Hank. I did not have a good example of any of these. I have some old beaters from my childhood collection, but no Hall of Famers by any means. The Aaron was my target card for having a big card from this set, just, with it being his second year. And yeah, and the Snowman had a pretty good pretty good example of it in a one, which is my wheelhouse. So right on, cool. And then I also found this in his stacks, going along with staying with my Willie Mays theme. I had this card as a child in my childhood collection. Sold it, for, tickets to, I don't know, Buckeye Lake somewhere. I don't know. One of the Dead shows, one of the hundreds that I went to over the years. A lot of my vintage childhood collection went to Grateful Dead tickets and just, being on the road with them, stuff like that. So that was cool. Very cool to get that back. And Snowman, he did me well. Nice little bundle deal. So that was cool. Made my way back over to where Mookie and like Greg and Petty, they're all kind of in the same little corner. Got me a pinhole card from Mookie, which is awesome. So I'll cherish this forever, just that it came from the Prince of Pinholes. Yeah, so yeah, thanks, Mook. This is, I'd been talking to my buddy Joe about this card too, like, oh, I don't got a Banks. I really like the 58, the blue, to kind of complement my 59 red of the Mays that I picked up. Mookie had a pinhole, so this was a no-brainer. He gave me a screaming deal on it. Thanks again, Mook. And then right next to him was Greg, and talked to Greg for a bit, and gave Greg my gift to him, and he's like, hey, here you go, I want you to have this. And he said that Petty, had a bunch of these made, so thank you, Greg, and thank you, Petty. Man, Petty was right next to him, so I was able to thank Petty, right after Greg gave me the shirt, which was very cool. I would have bought it, but Greg's just like, man, take it, it's yours. So thanks, guys. And then later, I wanted to find a Raw card. Tell you about the cases. I'll just put it up. We were talking at dinner. We were talking about the 62 Bob Uecker rookie. And I'm not a big fan of the 62 set. I was like, I like the 63 a lot better. And I was able to find this card. And Jeff, of A Fine Collector, he was right there with me at dinner. And he had given me this Mag Pro. I don't have very many Mag Pros. With his channel's name up there, so I really wanted to find a meaningful card to put in this holder, just for the, to remember forever. So we were talking about Uecker at dinner, so I ran across this. It's not the nicest centering or whatever, but it was cool, And then I thought, just to just to remember the moment, and where he gave me this Mag Pro with his channel's name on it, and we were talking about Uecker the night before, and I thought I was done, and lo and behold, right next to him was Sammy Thunder and his table, and my eyes instantly went to this card. It's smoking, dude. I'm sure there's nicer out there, but the color just popped on to me. The registration's beautiful. He had a really good price on it, and I kind of beat him up on this. So thank you, Sammy. Because he had 125 on it. I was like, dude, it's kind of a whim. What are those supermarket purchases? Impulse buy. I was like, I've always liked that card. I don't need it. It's on no list anywhere. It's cool. I think it's $100 cool. And he was like, thought for a second, graciously, like, okay, man, I'll do that. So thank you, Sammy. Very cool. I wouldn't have bought that card if you wouldn't have met that person. I wasn't going to go up any, so thanks for meeting my price on that. So yeah, sorry guys that my first video is long-winded. That's just how I am. I'm a talker, man. Can't change that. Shouldn't apologize for it. But it is a pretty long video for a first video, so I'm probably going to get like 0 views for a very long time. Anyway, I plan on making a follow-up video to this, kind of just telling what type of collector I am, kind of my mission statement of how I collect, what I collect, who I collect, new to the community. My friends know what I collect, but just put it out there. I'm going to continue to show, card show pickups. I'm going to way chill out on eBay stuff. I just pop, the war chest is depleted for a very long time. So eBay's done, Moeller show's coming up for us. That's a pretty big show down here in southwestern Ohio. So Rob said like, yeah, man, we should meet up. Rob from Cash Cards. So I'll be able to muster a little money to take down there to have some fun. But anyway, shouldn't have apologized. Very long video for the first introduction, but I'll have some follow ups coming of, like I said, my mission statement of how I collect and what I collect, and just stuff that I pick up at shows and stuff like that. So yeah, it's weird talking into my computer screen here, but hey, I finally did it. All right, peace out. Y'all take care.